a couple of months ago, Steph, while I was on your show, you asked me, could I name one cryptocurrency for your investors that I felt was undervalued? And of course, at that point, I just said, Digibyte. And you said, why? And I said, because it was the fastest. It was the fastest blockchain, and it was probably one of the most undervalued cryptocurrencies. And on the way home, on the train, I put it out on Twitter, and I was amazed, absolutely amazed by the response that we actually got. So of course, then the second interview that we had down in London, we talked about a Digibyte blockchain meetup. So I contacted Dean from the Digibyte Awareness team. Hi Dean. And I just said to Dean, I said, do you fancy meeting up for a beer and a pizza? And he said, yeah, let's meet up in London for a beer and a pizza. We might get 10 guys. Yeah, we might get 10 guys. Well, I can tell you now, it's been phenomenal. So first of all, Steph, I wanted to say a massive thank you for all your hard work over the last few weeks putting this event together. So I'd like to say a warm Digibyte welcome to Jad to the UK.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you all very much for being here. This is it's absolutely humbling for me. Almost 5 years ago, right before Thanksgiving, I was taking a road trip to go visit family. And, I'd been participating in Bitcoin for about 2 years. And I was like, I think there's some ways that Bitcoin can be dramatically improved. And at just about this time, 5 years ago, I actually started coding on the Digibyte project. It was basically right around the end of October, beginning of November of 2013. At the time, my intent was to create some improvements to the core Bitcoin protocol, submit it to the Bitcoin developers, and hopefully get it merged into Bitcoin Core. When I tried that, obviously it kind of fell on deaf ears, and I was like, you know what? Why not just put this out as a project, announce it ahead of time, and see if anybody's interested in it. So long story short, here we are 5 years later, and it's absolutely, like I said, very, very humbling for me to see the support around the world now. Because as you know, there is no company behind Digibyte, there is no ICO. It is 100% community-driven, grassroots-driven across the globe now. As of this particular time, I think we've had 250,000 plus full node installations in the last 14 to 16 months, which is absolutely incredible for a blockchain. I was just in Norway yesterday, and everybody's like, wow, the Digibyte community, they're everywhere. Like every Twitter post, every message forum. And I'm like, yeah, it blows me away. Every day I'm learning new things. So, like I said, thank you all for coming. And absolutely thank you to both of you. Thank you, Steffi, for putting this on. This is fantastic. So, I was asked to basically share, why and where Digibyte came from, and what the future is, where we're heading and where we're looking to go, and then how we can all come together and achieve this as a community. So, how many people know what a Genesis block is? Just by raising hands, okay? So let's see, a few people are confused. So a Genesis block is the first block in the blockchain. So in the case of Bitcoin, the headline that started the whole blockchain was it Chancellor, banks on the brink of failure in 2009? Well, with Digibyte, the initial block was actually hashed with the headline from USA Today, Target, 110 million customers' data stolen. Now, over the last 5 years, one of the things I've learned about this industry is obviously a lot of people are here for the currency aspect and the money aspect, right? That's what gets people's attention, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the one obstacle that I've discovered, meeting with different governments and regulatory people and institutions over the last 5 years, is you don't really get anywhere by going out and presenting the currency aspect first. It's a huge obstacle. So part of what we've always envisioned is, with blockchain technology, you can fix a lot of today's cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So in 2017, it's estimated by McAfee Research that almost $600 billion in international cybercrime fraud occurred. By 2020, it's going to be $2 trillion. And the problem with this is the internet itself is fundamentally broken, right? You have all these central points of failure, you have reliance on centralized services, single databases, and we need to fix this. Otherwise, as a society and as humanity, it's going to get much worse for us. So what we're trying to do and work towards is building solutions that can not only scale the financial aspects and build, financial products on top of Digibyte, but more importantly, like cybersecurity things. For instance, like DigiID. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening with that. You can replace passwords, two-factor authentication, and do a lot of cool stuff. But the one analogy I like to explain to people is if you imagine all the DNA strands in your body, from your hands to your fingertips to your legs, if all that DNA was just in your fingertip and you were making some cocktails and you were slicing some limes and you slipped and you cut your finger off, you'd have a massive problem. Well, that's how the internet works. Well, a blockchain is more like that decentralized DNA strand throughout your body. And so what we've tried to do with our vision is create the most decentralized, most efficient, fastest, and most secure blockchain in existence. And I think we've got a pretty good platform that's been battle hardened out there for the last 4.5 years. However, we still see some improvements that can be made, as we have done over the past 5 years. I don't know if some of you know, we've done 3 hard forks, basically 2 soft forks, and we're actually looking to do some more core protocol improvements. One exciting thing that just kind of came out the last few weeks, there's a very, very talented developer that I have been working with for 4 years. To this day, I have no idea who he is. Never met him, don't know his name. There's actually several people like this in the Digibyte community. For all I know, somebody in this room could be one of these individuals. But that's kind of the people that have contributed some brilliant code to the project over the years. But what they have developed is a new algorithm that basically resets itself every 10 days. So you can't build ASICs for it. So what this really means, how many people are familiar with what an ASIC is? Okay, so there's probably a few people. So an ASIC is basically a specialized piece of hardware designed specifically to mine cryptocurrencies. So one of the reasons Digibyte also came about was I started myself as a Bitcoin miner in 2012. And when the first batch of ASICs started coming out of China, I realized this is basically a hardware arms race. And Bitcoin is going to become centralized. And it is today. It's completely centralized. You have one company that basically dominates over 51% of the hash rate for Bitcoin. So the whole reason that Digibyte has 5 mining algorithms is to deter that and to help keep it decentralized across the globe. So we're trying to continue that approach because it is my belief, because the way the industry is going today, I know we're in a bit of a bear market, but you have all these projects that are coming forward and claiming that they're a decentralized blockchain technology, when the reality is they're only running on maybe 5, 7, 12 servers. And to me that defeats the whole purpose. Why don't you just run a clustered SQL database? Google in that regard is 10 times more decentralized. So what we're trying to do in the vision is to keep Digibyte as decentralized as possible, keep growing the community, keep the code and the core platform as pure and as efficient as possible, but at the same time to create what we're calling DigiAssets, which is a second layer that everybody can begin building products and applications on. So kind of like you think of HTTP as what a lot of infrastructure in the internet runs on. Well, we're kind of at that HTTP era right now, which is the core protocol. But on top of that, you can start building a lot of really innovative stuff. So over the past few months, we've talked to everybody from everything from securing real estate to airplane ownership to healthcare records. International trade, logistics, and shipping, the possibilities are endless, and that's why it's very fascinating. So it's very much an early point in time for everybody. So in terms of what the community can do, like I said, I've been absolutely blown away by all the different efforts and people that have stepped up across the globe. The Digibyte awareness team, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for everything you guys have been doing.
Can we have a quick round of applause for this?
At the end of the day, I truly believe, so the day before I called, I called my brother the day before we launched Digibyte, and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is crazy." Like, he's like, "Government's going to come in, they're going to shut you down." And I'm like, "No, I believe this is the best for humanity in the future." And eventually, you know, they'll come to understand it. And at the end of the day, the primary driving motivation for myself over the last 5 years has basically been, you know what, with all this other stuff and chaos, everything that's happening in the UK, everything that's happening in other countries, Eurozone, everything, you know, we wanted to give people something to believe in, you know, something that is based on mathematical law, the laws of the universe, and, you know, it's transparent. And I think it's the best path forward for humanity. So, with that, I guess.
Perfect, absolutely superb, yeah.
If anybody has any questions,